You're listening to the AV-IT Amplifier. Each week, we'll feature voices and ideas that need to be amplified in the higher education and pro AV IT communities. This show is brought to you by higheredav.com. And now here's your host, Ryan Gray.
Hello, everybody. We are back for round two with the ever famous and infamous Erin Maher-Moran. Thank you for joining us again for another episode of the AV Amplifier. Would you please briefly remind everybody, Erin, who you are and what you do?
Yes, I am the IT manager for classroom technology at Johns Hopkins University, vice chair of HETMA, grad student, mom, wife, wrangler of cats.
Yeah, and dog. Podcast host. All right, so let's quickly, your podcast is on the AV Nation Network, true?
I am part of AV Nation, yes.
All right.
EdTech.
So everybody tune in once a month, EdTech. It's a good show. You will learn something, and you will probably hear something on there where you'll go, no, I should be on this show. I could have said something better than that. It's a great one. It's a great one to yell at your car stereo too. I love it. As opposed to this one where everybody just sits and listens entranced all the time. So we've got a number of questions for you today, Erin. So buckle up. This is going to be, but I have to ask, there's two things that I need to get to the bottom of with you first off, which is the last episode, you mentioned that your bachelor's, your undergrad degree is you have a BFA in illustration. Yeah. So first, how did that come about? What's the interest, and what have you been illustrating? I don't know that I've seen a drawing. So do you have a secret artist life going on that we don't know about? What's happening here?
Yeah. So I actually, my undergraduate journey was a very bizarre one. I wanted to go to art school, essentially. I'd always been a bit more of a creative at heart, but my senior year of high school, my physics teacher was like, the valedictorian does not go to art school. And I was like, oh, all right, maybe I should rethink that. And he kind of was right. Like it was kind of
valedictorian goes wherever they want to, in my mind. But what are you gonna do?
I mean, okay. Right? But he was not wrong. But I went to RIT for biomedical computing.
Wow.
Because I was like, all the things just sounds awesome. And then I quickly realized I didn't like programming, which another full circle moment, because then I switched to medical technology and had shows like CSI been on in the mid 90s. I probably would have stuck with it because they made medical technology look super cool with all the forensic stuff. But I pretty much was like, I can't imagine myself putting on a lab coat, checking the samples all day.
Right.
No. So I was like, illustration. I skipped right over medical illustration too. Like, there was a medical illustration program at RIT, and I was like, nah. Even though a lot of my work was like musculature and skeletal and stuff like that, but I was like, I don't want that. I'll just do whatever I want.
So so then are you still drawing? Are you still creating art? Is that something that stuck with you?
Not really. Okay. I do on occasion. It's usually like I like to draw with my nieces. They love it because they love to draw, and so like I will just kind of draw with them, and they're just like, oh my God, that looks just like our dog, or like it's cute. It's fun. It's more of like a neat thing now, but so now that I ended up going full circle and getting back into programming and control system programming, so I can be somewhat particular when looking at user interfaces. Yeah. Because when things aren't like aligned nicely, or like just the balance of things is off, it like makes my head want to explode.
Cool. Well, let's hear it for people with art degrees that are working in technology, because the same thing over my shoulder. I got the 2 undergrads in there is political science and art, and interdisciplinary art and performance. So I will not. Ooh, I know. So we art people are everywhere, and we will be respected in technology. Just ask Erin or myself. Okay. So then next question is, and I know a little bit of the story, but I love it, is your Twitter handle, Smearin off ice, which the fact that you stuck with is awesome. You know what I'm saying? The pressure to switch it to something just like your name or whatever, I'm sure has been so. Real quickly, where did that nickname come from?
So that was my roller derby name.
Yeah.
When I moved to Maryland, there wasn't really a big hockey community. Mm-hmm. And what bit of a community there was, I was like, I didn't feel like it wasn't the right fit for me. But when I learned about roller derby, I was like, oh, that takes the part of hockey that I kind of like the best, but not really allowed to do in most rec leagues. So I was like, I get to hit people on skates? Yes. Yeah. So I very much enjoyed that. And so when it came time to, because everybody creates their own roller derby name. And so I was trying to think of one that like paid homage to my hockey playing days, but potentially had sponsorship opportunities. Like always thinking ahead. So I was like, oh, and it was kind of right when the whole bros icing bros thing was kind of starting to decline. So I was like, oh yeah, they need something awesome like me to pick up their
to bring it up
their whole thing. So Smearin off ice was
Love it.
And I mean, how much cooler could you get? And is like, because of course when you're skating, you're not going to say the whole name. Right. So ice just became ice. Like my name. And to this day, I have friends that do not refer to me as Erin. I am Ice.
That is awesome. I love, like, you're a superhero, and you know what I'm saying? You have an alter ego, and I feel like I've seen maybe 1 or 2 pictures of you in roller derby. It is fierce. The eye black and the whole thing. Like, just let's be clear, everybody. You get on the wrong side of Erin, she can put you in the wall. You know what I'm saying? She knows how to do it. So, be careful.
But yeah, I mean, and I was one of the people that like I understood the assignment. Like when you do roller derby, there's the handful. There's a couple different types of people. There's like the ones who are purely athletes, like they want to play the game, and then there are the ones who love the idea of roller derby and the kitschiness of it and the pageantry of it. And then I kind of was like right in the middle, whereas like I wanted to be I'm the fierce skater, but I'm also gonna like bring you the glitz and the glam and the waving and the kiss blowing and the glitter all over, and
that's what we get the most out of it.
Long pigtails that would like fly when I'd skate around. Yes. And people, I had some teammates in the past who were like, why are there so many photos of you? Like when the photographers always take photos of you. And I'm like, cause I'm glittery and like my hair's flying. Like it makes for good composition. I was like, from an artistic point of view, I'm like,
exactly. So
it makes for good pics.
You had the whole, your degree came to you were working through the image and the presentation and the whole. I love it. So that's I love. You never know what us button down professionals where we came from and where we. So
exactly.
All right. Well, be everyone. You know what I'm saying? If make sure you give Ice a wide berth just in case. You never know because you could throw an elbow. Okay. So Erin, would you consider yourself an introvert or an extrovert?
That's always a tough one. I feel like I am a true ambivert. Because there are times where I feed off of the people, like being at trade shows and stuff. I'm like, I love it. But then there is the time then afterwards where then I don't want to be around people for a while. So I'm like, I love it, and I've charged fully, and then like a week later, I'm like, okay, no people for a while.
So then how you have had to learn to kind of regulate that or pay attention to how, how your energy flows one way or the other, and build, what does that process look like if you have, a big extroverted or a long introverted period coming?
Yeah, I have to be pretty conscious of my schedule and what's coming up. So I'll, like, if I have too many things back to back, then towards the end of that, you're not going to get the good me. You're going to get the me. And it's, my husband recognizes that too. So he has talked about wanting to come with me to Infocom. And initially I was like, well, we can tack on a couple days at the end and, stay a little bit through the weekend. And he was like, no, I want to front load, because he's like, I want fresh, beginning of this thing, like fully energetic Erin,
right?
As opposed to at the end, he's like, no, I know what I'm gonna get. I'm gonna get no voice. Like you're not gonna want to do much of anything other than sit by the pool. And he's not wrong. Yeah.
So he's like, I want the ramp up, and you're on your own for the ramp down. You know what I'm saying? I'm not there for the aftermath. See, that's so if you haven't got it figured out, he's got it figured out. So,
right?
Nice. Okay, so it is October. So if money, makeup, anything, no option, what would your dream Halloween costume be? If you could be anything?
Because I love Halloween. Like I always dressed up, like through every year, no matter what. Not as much now, like. And as I became a parent, it was always about
getting the kids,
creating Nolan's really cool costumes. So one year I asked him what he wanted to be, and he was like, I want to be Maximum Destruction. So for those who don't know, Maximum Destruction is a monster truck.
Right.
But he didn't want to be the driver. He wanted to be the truck. Yeah. So I made him a truck that he had straps, and he had his Maximum Destruction hat, and he had this big cardboard box. Luckily we get lots of giant boxes at work.
Yeah, exactly.
So turned it into Maximum Destruction. And
that's awesome.
Every year then he's like, I want to do this, I want to do that. And I'm like, and it's always, he's always been cutting edge. So it was always things that have just become super popular, so they don't have costumes yet
for it. Yeah.
So he's like, I want to be Foxy the Pirate Fox from Five Nights at Freddy's a handful of years ago.
Yep.
All right, how can I do this? Paper mache, made this elaborate head thing. Roblox made him a bacon hair looking mushroom or marshmallow face mask. So for myself. I feel like, it'd have to be something just big and elaborate. I don't know.
That's okay.
But I don't know.
That's okay. Yeah, I feel like you've got the creative juice to do something really, really interesting with that. Yeah. So cool.
I feel like it'd have to be something maybe tech wise. So maybe a robot, but not but a cool robot. Not just like a boxy beep, 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 but I don't know. I think it'd come up with something kind of cool.
Cool. Do you think people are generally good with a proclivity for evil, or generally evil with a proclivity for good?
I think that may vary for some people, but I would say good. They're good with tendencies to do not so good stuff sometimes.
Why? Why do you think that?
I think I want to say people for the most part are born just good. It's you learn the bad things. So yeah, I'd say good. Or at least I want to believe that.
Okay. But you've been hedging on that the whole time. So it's like, you don't have to delve into anything, but part of the answer to that question I get is that's where people want to go is, oh, people are generally good, but they learn, these other tendencies. But then everyone's face falls a little bit as they think like, but is that really my experience? Am I saying what I actually think, or am I saying what I want to think on that front? And I don't have the answer to this question. It's why I ask everybody it, So then let me ask this question then. If people are born good, how do they know what's good and what's not? Where does that compass come from, do you think?
Yeah. I mean, as a parent, I tend to think, you learn it from your parents and your family and those who are close to you. And, maybe that's why some people aren't as lucky. Yeah. Maybe they don't, either though they don't have family or their family is just downright awful.
So there's a nature versus nurture thing in that, right? Where the examples that get set become your default. And that's the terror for every parent, isn't it? You know what I'm saying? When your kids are little and all that, I had that moment of like, oh my God, like, we have a couple years to fix all the damage we did. We have a couple years, and now she's 18. It's like, okay, well, whatever it was. It's too late now. So.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's funny that like doing parent teacher conferences, I like hearing that he's, doing well in classes, but I always love hearing like that he's a good person.
Yes.
Like those are the compliments I love more than like, oh yeah, he's smart. I'm like,
yeah. No, when you hear,
of course he's smart. He's my kid.
Exactly. Like, what did you expect?
Duh.
I mean, give me a break. Come on. No, but when you hear your kids say something that is like introspectively compassionate for another person or something like that, and I'm just like, oh, okay, like that. That's what'll get you every time. Cool. Okay. What was your first job?
My first job. So there was, besides like paper girl or whatever, my first job was...
So you did delivered newspapers?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I actually think it probably coincided with delivering phone books.
No, yeah.
That is how old I am.
Yeah, well, we're all that.
Delivering phone book old.
Yeah. So you're the third guest I've had that delivered papers and stuff. That was a common thing. Okay, so I'm going to go with, I think, newspaper better than phone books because phone books were big and heavy. How on earth did that work?
So my grandparents, they somehow found out about this opportunity. And so they basically, a big truck drops off these pallets of phone books, and so we essentially have to and then we put them in the trailer that my grandparents owned, and then we'd go and
house by house,
but we actually had to they got these boxes of cards, and it corresponded to the houses that got phone books. Not everybody got a phone book, so we actually had to mark down by street which houses got phone books, and then if it was like a duplex or something that they got two or what. So it was the whole thing.
And then what lessons did you learn in this first job that continue to serve you today?
That McDonald's is a big motivator. So food is a motivator. If you have a really boring meeting, feed your people.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's really how my grandparents got
you through it.
Myself and my aunt through actually doing that.
That's right. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? You can motivate people a lot that way.
Yeah. Yeah. They're you get a Happy Meal in an hour. I'm like, all right.
Short-term goal, dopamine hit coming if you can make it to that next C. So now maybe you could do it with your student workers. You could do the same thing, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
There's a donut, but only after you've closed the right number of tickets today before the donuts come out or something like that. Nice. All right. So in your life, what's something that you're really proud of?
I mean, I guess currently is I have a 4.0.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
it's kind of a low-hanging fruit, though.
Well, no, it's not. It's very easy to not have a 4.0. You know what I'm saying?
It's very true.
Yeah.
That is very true. I mean, there are so many things I'm proud of. I'm proud of the fact my husband is sober for over 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
My son is a sophomore in high school, and he's doing all right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's kind of the little things that add up.
That's all right. Yeah, that's a good answer. If there's a lot of contentment that can come from, like you said, there's something, every day to be proud of, instead of, I have to put something together that's marquee in order to feel satisfied with it. I can see those things every day. That's awesome. Well, yeah, you're sophomore in high school. You're like, I love to speak now as a veteran parent who has a kid that's no, but yeah, it's going to go fast. It's going to go fast, this last part. So you don't miss out on those things as you can.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Here's your choice: Aretha Franklin, Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey, Adele, or Beyonce.
I have to go with Aretha.
Yeah. Why?
Like the OG, the original, like paved the way for the others, essentially. RESPECT.
Find out what it means to me. That's awesome. So what like, you're not like the original, what is it about her, aside from, like, there's a lot of power there at a time when women didn't have as much power. What else about Aretha Franklin makes you, out of that list, go, oh, that's where I've got to go?
Well, I mean, she's like, she kind of, I feel like she's, did a little bit of it all. Like, wasn't just like a powerhouse of a singer. And like, she just, I mean, especially being like, not only being a woman who was a powerhouse, like being a woman of color and just doing it.
Yeah.
And it's just, it is to be admired.
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
I agree. Yeah, this is 2 in a row. So spoiler alert, but it won't be a spoiler. That was Jimmy Singleton's answer also. And he had a very intriguing, it was because of the context. It was because of the time and the context in which she did the thing she did. And it really changes sometimes, things that, the songs, you're like, yeah, those are great songs. But when you think about what it meant to do and say those things at the time, is amazing. Cool. Okay, so what if you're booking a vacation right now? You know what I'm saying? If someone hands you the credit card, you can go book anything. Where and with who? What's going on?
As much as I want to say some tropical island with my sorority sisters, because they're my girls, and I love getting stupid with them, I'd have to say Rome with my husband and son.
Yeah. Why?
Because I took Latin when I was a kid, and my son surprised me by deciding he was going to take Latin. So I was like, oh, okay. And so much of, I think why I enjoyed the Latin so much, besides the fact that the teacher was awesome, which in a weird twist, I found out attended my son's high school.
Wow.
Which I went to school in Buffalo, New York. He goes to school in Baltimore, Maryland. So it was very interesting to find out that because I knew I had remembered he was from Baltimore as a kid, like the things that stick in your head. We made fun of the way he talked. Kids were awful, just jerks. But yeah, so much of that class was like the history side of it and the ruins and all that stuff. And I'm like, I need to see that. Yeah. So now I'm like, now that Nolan's learning about all that, I like to be able to actually like go and see it.
So can you two, have you started to speak Latin to each other so your husband can't understand what you're saying?
No.
Okay.
It's, funny thing is that outside of the church, Latin really wasn't spoken.
Mm-hmm,
it was much more of a written language. So
yeah,
that was the part of Latin that I was terrible at. Like, anytime we had to do any of the like oral exams and stuff, I was like, ugh, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. But now all the fancy law terms, you're like, oh, I know exactly what that is. It's just Latin for X, Y, and Z.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice. And there was a scene in Dead Poet Society where they're going through the declensions and whatnot, and agricola, agricole. And I was like,
yeah.
Failing it.
Yeah.
We had to do that.
You had to, yeah. Nice. Okay. Last 3 questions for everybody. First, what's a question that you wish people would ask you, but nobody ever seems to?
Maybe like, and it's not a question that people don't ask. They ask. They just aren't expecting an answer. It's like, how are you?
Yeah.
Like people are they're not really asking how you are. Mm-hmm. Like, I think that's, yeah. I mean, although most of the time, probably if asked how I am, I'm probably not prepared to actually answer either. So, yeah,
no, that's one of those, like, it's hard how are you has become such a neutral thing, a rote answer and response, and everybody knows what's expected. And you're just like, yeah, you're asking, but I don't know. I don't think you're ready for the answer. I don't think you're ready. And to this point, I may not be ready to answer it anyway. So that's come up a number of times on the show. So let's think about what it means to really want to know how people are.
Yeah. I mean, because my default answer to that usually is hanging in there.
Yeah.
But I want to curate a cooler answer to be more like Joe's damn near perfect.
Yeah. But I never believe him, right? Joe always says that. That's how he answers the question. And then, you know what I'm saying? Half an hour later or 3 drinks later, you're getting the rest of the story that's going on in there. So I've always wondered, what's the middle ground of like, how could I give an honest answer that doesn't require the other person to do anything about it, right? Like you asked, I'm willing, like, I'm not telling you the whole thing, but I'm like, I'm a little X, Y, and Z. I'm working through it. It's all good. Like, could I even do that? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. That sort of honesty is difficult for people at times. So, all right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Second to last question. Again, how would people get in touch with you to learn more about what you're up to at Johns Hopkins, about HETMA, or about the EdTech podcast? Yeah,
you can reach out to me on LinkedIn or on the Twitters at Smearin_off_ice, or find me on the HETMA community. I am always peeping what's going on there.
Yeah, hetma.org. Yeah, at Smearin Off Ice. That's a required Twitter follow. So you don't miss out on that. Make sure if you're not following that you're following that. All right. And finally, we will get to your drop the mic sign off phrase. So if you're I mean, you do host a show and you do have, so what is your newscaster style drop the mic sign off to let everybody know who you are and what you're about?
It's super lame, but see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the AV IT Amplifier. Join us again for next week's episode when we'll welcome a new guest who you'll want to hear from. We promise. Your host has been Ryan Gray. He's on the tweeters at Ryan_A_Gray, or find him on LinkedIn to connect. Please subscribe and give the show a rating and review wherever you get your podcasts. This show is brought to you by HigherEdAV.com. The views expressed here are not necessarily those of our respective institutions, employers, or sponsors. Everyone hang in there, go easy, and we'll be back next week.